Hey, how's it going everybody? My name is Artorigold with LFG, and today I want to give you my first thoughts and impressions of the newest expansion of World of Warcraft, Shadowlands. So if you don't know, I'm pretty huge into World of Warcraft. I play Classic constantly. I'm just getting through Nax.
All who trespass here are doomed.
Stoop, I think you had the last one, right?
I'm not coming back for World of Warcraft 2.
And it's really unlucky timing that Shadowlands is coming out right when I'm trying to clear Nax and progress in Classic. It seems like the timing is a little messed up, mostly because Shadowlands got delayed, but you know, it's alright. We kind of have a lot of content to go through. So I kind of want to go over the basics of Shadowlands as I am making this video. I have not had Season 1 released yet, so I am going to miss out a bit on raiding and mythic pluses and arenas a bit. I'm going to go through what I have been able to play, which of course has been the leveling experience, the new zones, a little bit of the story. I'll try not to give out any spoilers, but my first thoughts and impressions and all of that, and if this game is worth your $40 or maybe even more. So if you've seen the trailer for Shadowlands, by now you should know Sylvanas has basically just destroyed the Lich King in a fight. Took his helmet, broke it, and now Shadowlands has been open and revealed for everybody to go to. So basically what you're going to see is a new zone, the Shadowlands, that starts you off in the Maw, which is where the jailer is. And this is kind of an interesting zone. You have a lot of new mechanics in here. You have something basically like a meter, and it's kind of like Grand Theft Auto. If you were to, you know, be really aggressive and start killing people or stealing or whatever, then the cops are going to come after you. But in this case, it's the jailer coming after you. And it kind of limits how much you can do in the zone every single day. And it's a pretty decent zone. You can't use a mount, so it makes the PvP really fun. But the best part about the Maw is the Torghast Tower, which basically adds this kind of like roguelike element to the game, where as you progress through the tower and the floors and the difficulty gets increased, you get these little power-ups that you can choose from, and each one gives you like a pretty cool or basic power. There's like different rarities to it, and it can range from some really unique things and then just kind of your flat generic, like I gain 3% crit or something like that. And they kind of stack, so you can definitely get a lot of power-ups by the time you get to the final boss on the floor. And you can even bring a friend in with you as well. So overall, I think Torghast has a lot of potential to grow as a system. I think the roguelike elements are really fun. However, it really doesn't compare to anything that we've seen like from Hades, for example, which is another roguelike game that just came out, which does the roguelike thing way better. But I think this is a good start. I think really what they need to do is add more choices to it, because right now the choices are pretty uninteresting and bland for the most part. They just give you like base stat gains, which are a little bit more boring than I would have liked to hope. And hopefully they can take some influence from some other roguelikes out there, and maybe down the road after some patches it'll really be a lot better. Other than that, you get Oribos, and if I don't pronounce anything right, sorry. And it's basically just like Dalaran 2.0, right? Just a big circle. It's a hub city. It's where you probably want to set your hearth to, maybe, or I just still use Org personally. There's not really too much to say about Oribos. It's fine. It's a hub city. And then you get your 4 new main zones. There's 2 of them that are really fun for leveling, and story-wise, these zones are pretty great, and that would be Maldraxxus and Revendreth. And I'll not go into spoilers, but those 2 zones were a lot of fun leveling in. And then you have Bastion. It was really beautiful, and I really enjoyed the scenery. I liked the theme of all the angels and stuff, but overall, I was pretty bored with the story. You see Uther like literally like 1 second, I think, unless maybe I missed side quests because I wasn't doing that shit. I just wanted to get by as quickly as possible and just try to level, and I thought the zone was a little underwhelming. Looked great, But questing wise, pretty boring, and even Covenant ability wise, I felt like Bastion was really boring. I play a Warlock, and as you know, the melee and ranged abilities are a little bit different for each of the Covenants, and yeah, I just wasn't feeling Bastion that much. It could have been a lot better. And then of course you have the Druid Zone, Ardenweld. I hated it. I did not like it at all. I thought it was boring. And the thing that really sucks about this zone is that the Covenant abilities are probably the strongest ones for a lot of classes. And if you are trying to min-max or trying to PvP, you're trying to get world first, or trying to get really big mythic pluses, you want to get this depending on your class. I mean, most classes probably do. For me as a Warlock, it would have been great as well, but it's terrible. I don't like the zone. I don't like the quests. The world quests are really annoying. So this was a zone I wanted to avoid at all costs, and it really hurts me because I would like to have the best Covenant abilities possible, but you know, I just can't stand it. It looks terrible. It doesn't mesh with the Warlock at all. Like, why does a Warlock want to be one with nature and have nature gear? It just doesn't make sense. So why did they make this the strongest for Warlock? No clue. Not much planning. I really don't like this zone. I think their abilities need to get nerfed. I don't know. It's terrible. I don't know what they were trying to do with this. If you ever try to do the world quests in this zone, it is miserable. Like, they turn you into a butterfly. You have to collect bushes and shake fairy dust on enemies to get them agitated. I get agitated just being in that zone. So yeah, that was terrible. I almost just wanted to stop playing Shadowlands when I got to that zone. It was pretty tough to get through that zone. However, after you finish it, you can move on to some better zones, so there's some hope. So overall, 2 zones, pretty great. Loved Revendreth and Maldraxxus, no complaints. Pretty amazing zones. Bastion, underwhelming. Ardenwald, just terrible. And so as I said just a second ago, you basically get these new Covenant abilities, but a lot of them are kind of underwhelming, and then some are just overpowered depending on your class. And I decided to ignore the min-maxing side. I ended up just choosing the Divinithir of Revendreth because that's what I wanted to do. I liked what they had going on for me. Their abilities weren't the best for me, but I enjoyed them. The Door of Shadows ability I love, but their active ability doesn't really do that much damage. I gotta be honest, whenever I'm PvPing, I'm almost never going to get that cast off, especially if I have a rogue, warrior, paladin, some melee guy is on me. I'm never gonna cast that ability. I would get lucky to even be able to cast Unstable Affliction on any of them, let alone that. So Door of Shadows, although I really do like this ability, mobility in general is really good, and mobility for a Warlock is very needed. So Door of Shadows is something that I really wanted to get, although the Night Fae Fox transformation would have been way better. Moving on with the Covenants, you also get Soulbinds and Adventures. Adventures are miserable. I hate them. I don't like them, and they force you to do them just a little bit, and I don't want to do them at all. It's a terrible little mini game that shouldn't even be in the game. I don't think anybody enjoys them. Soulbinds are rather fun. That's a feature that I like. You get basically 3 people you get to choose to soulbind to, and they have a little talent tree you can mess around with. And it's pretty cool. I have some nice abilities in there that basically complement other things. For example, my Door of Shadows, my mobility move, I can make it give me more movement speed afterwards, which is great for getting away, which is extremely good for a low mobility class for myself as a Warlock. And then they have things like you get 2 charges of Door of Shadow, so it basically adds a little bit of flavor that really improves your PvP. I haven't been able to explore the Soulbinds too much. I'm kind of limited how much I can really get far into it, so I haven't been able to play around with all of them, but so far I really like how it adds a little bit of flavor to your Covenant abilities so people can customize it. So it's not just like, oh, everybody in Divinithir gets this ability. They get to get that ability, but customize it just a little bit. Everybody gets like a talent tree, essentially. So I really enjoy that feature. I think the Soulbinds are great. I'm not happy to grind it out, but even though it's annoying, it's worth it. So with that being said, I haven't been able to do Mythic Pluses, but I have been able to do Mythics and try out a lot of the dungeons. And I gotta say, there are some really good ones and some pretty miserable and bad ones. And surprise, it's the ones in Ardenwald, which is a zone I already hate. The dungeons like Plaguefall and Halls of Atonement and Theater of Pain and The Other Side were just absolutely amazing. I loved them. I can't wait to do Mythic Pluses of them. The mechanics are great. There's this one mechanic on this boss that I absolutely loved where he pulls 2 people down from chains and makes them fight to the death in arena. So all of a sudden you're in a PvP match or a duel against this other player and you have to kill each other in order to get back up and fight the boss, and whoever wins gets a DPS buff. So I absolutely loved that mechanic. It was by far one of my favorite things that I've played so far in a dungeon, and Mists of Terna is the worst dungeon I have ever played, especially on week 1, where people don't know exactly what they're doing. doing? People are confused. And in this dungeon, you have to do this stupid little puzzle, and the puzzle is the worst, mostly because it requires coordination between, 4 or 5 people in order to each, go up to the little things, have the little symbol, and then hope that you get the right symbol picked and you go through the right door. Otherwise, you get sent back to the start and you have to do it all over again, and that is miserable. I can't tell you how many times where we know what the right door is, but some moron in our group would end up going and choosing another door because he doesn't understand the mechanic, or he just got it wrong, and so everybody gets reset to the beginning, and because of that, we don't even get a glance or time to even see which one is messing it up. So we have to say in chat, hey, please stop doing that, but we don't know who it is. We can't see because we get sent back, and there's your screen gets fogged over, so you can't even get a glance at who the guy is messing everything up for everybody else. So yeah, that is miserable. That might change later on once people know what they are doing, but week 1, terrible experience. I absolutely hate that dungeon. Everything else, however, was pretty great. That being said, I can't comment on Castle Netharia. Season 1 isn't out yet, and the arena system, I haven't been able to really see much of that yet. I've done a lot of PvP with Battlegrounds, but I'm kind of waiting to do arenas for Season 1. I haven't done any skirmishes, so I'm not going to comment on that. However, I will go into the new leveling system, which is pretty amazing. Everybody basically starts at level 50 is the max level, right? So you're level 50 in the new zone. You get 10 levels through the new expansion, and level 60 is the max. So I really liked that. The level squish, the level 60 just feels perfect and right for you. I mean, I don't like grinding 120 levels. It basically made me never want to make an ult. Now that you're at level 60 as your max, that's amazing. I kind of want to go out there and make some ults. It's amazing to have a number like that. It just feels good. It feels attainable. The numbers feel good. I don't want to hit for 100,000 damage. I don't want these big numbers. I feel nothing. What's the difference between 100,000 and 200,000 when I'm always hitting 50,000? The numbers just don't make sense to me. But having the numbers and the levels toned down a bit, it feels great. That was one of my favorite things of Shadowlands, especially as someone who plays a lot of Classic. I absolutely love that. The level squish is amazing, and also they make it so when you create an ult, you can choose where you level. For example, if you want to level in TBC entirely to level 50, you can. Same with Wrath of the Lich King. If you want to do Warlords of Draenor, you're insane. You're a stupid, terrible person if you want to do that, but you can if you want to. So that's great that they give you that option. I will never, ever do that personally, but that's great that you can do it and you can enjoy it if you want to. But I don't know who that person is. You are a psychopath. Other than that, the only thing I really want to talk about is the class changes. For Warlock, I was pretty happy that they brought back, Curse of Weakness, Curse of Tongues, Curse of Exhaustion, all things that I really enjoy and love. I think I mostly play Affliction, and I like how Unstable Affliction isn't this thing that you just mass spam now. It feels really good to just have one Unstable Affliction. That's how it should be. I think the new Soul Shard Spender Malefic Rupture is really good. I don't think it's amazing. I don't ever feel like I need to use it. If I'm in a Battlegrounds, I'm spamming all my dots on everybody, and I rarely ever get the chance to use Malefic Rupture. I don't think it's that great for single target DPS either. In arenas, that my thoughts might change on that, but I don't really like Malefic Rupture that much. I like it as a concept, but it kind of stops at that. I wish that Shadow Bolt was used more. As someone that plays Classic a lot and is really excited for TBC, I think Shadow Bolt is the identity of the Warlock class. It is your hard-hitting spell, and to not use Shadow Bolt as something like that instead, and to use a Shadow Bolt as a filler spell, a filler ability, feels terrible because it hits like nothing. It's terrible and pathetic, and it depresses me because Shadow Bolt is very much the identity of a Warlock in my opinion, and not using it as a main part of the rotation and instead as a filler, it hurts me a little bit. They really need to turn Shadow Bolt into something more for Affliction other than just, the 3 stacks of Shadow Embrace, because that's essentially all you ever use it for, or if you have nothing else better to cast. But yeah, that's just a very quick first impressions. I can't wait for Season 1 to come out. I'm going to try out a lot more. So far, I would have to rate this expansion way better than Warlords of Draenor, way better than BFA, which is not a very high bar. Let me tell you, those 2 expansions were terrible. But I would not say this is better than a lot of other expansions. I would say right now for me, my first impression, this is about right at the tier of where Legion is. I thought Legion was a pretty good expansion, but not amazing, like C or B tier, right? It's not the best thing I've ever played, but it's definitely not the worst. If you are really addicted to World of Warcraft, you're gonna love it. If you're coming back to World of Warcraft after a long time and you haven't played anything of it for a while, you probably will enjoy this a lot. And I think it will be worth $40 to get into it. And I'm saying this without even experiencing a lot of the main features like raiding yet. I haven't even been able to do Mythic Pluses yet. So I think so far it's a pretty fun experience. If you can deal with some of the stuff that isn't good, you can probably enjoy yourself for a long time. And hey, if you don't enjoy yourself, use that remaining game time and just play Classic instead, which is what I'm already playing a lot of anyways. Thank you, Nax. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for this video. I'll be sure to do an update real quickly once Season 1 comes out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.